Hello everyone, welcome to the 17th and final part in the main storyline of a series of guides for each world in Kingdom Hearts 1. This guide will be going over the storyline path for each world. In this episode, the third and final part covering the Ansem final boss fights in the end of the world. We last left off at the final rest save point, so from here, enter through the door and skip or watch the cutscenes that play. From here, head to the secret place hideout over here on Destiny Islands, and then skip or watch the cutscenes. Head back to the edge of the island to find Riku, and then skip or watch the cutscenes. You'll now be in the first fight with Ansem, and for these fights, I'm going to try to simplify them a little bit more than I have been recently again, otherwise we're going to be here for a very long time. So I'm only going to cover kind of what you need to know. For this first fight, I'd recommend summoning Tinkerbell, as it is available in this fight. This will passively regen your health over time, and revive you if you die. Ansem's attacks are pretty simple in this fight, and you'll notice I mostly just combo spam him for most of this fight. The shadow behind him will sometimes throw out multiple discs of energy in front. Jump over them or get to the side if you can. If it swipes at you with dark energy, dodge roll away, then go back to swinging at Ansem. Ansem will periodically bring the shadow in front to protect him. If you can, get behind Ansem instead and continue swinging. You won't be able to hit him from the front. The main thing to worry about and dodge in this fight is when Ansem says this. Later on, as his health lowers, he'll only yell the submit part of this attack. Dodge roll away when the shadow attempts this. If it does hit you, the shadow will transfer to Sora and periodically attempt to do damage to him. Don't try to hit Ansem if this attack does hit, just run around and wait for your attack option to switch to freeze before hitting it. This will bring the shadow out, locking you in place and making you vulnerable to Ansem's attacks for a little while. However, this will make the shadow not do its periodic damage to you. Continue dodging around and activating freeze whenever it pops up over the attack option until the shadow returns to Ansem. Use cure if you're in danger. This is all you should need to know in terms of his moveset to be able to defeat this phase. After defeating him, skip or watch the cutscene and then head over here where you'll find a circle arena. Before going in, feel free to refill your items to whatever you want to have on, and know you have a string of boss fights coming up with no way that you can refill any of these slots until the end of the game, so make sure you have the items and equipment on that you want to have equipped for these fights. Then go into the arena and find a dark side. I'm not even going to bother explaining this fight. His moveset is the same as the one that you fought on Destiny Island at the start of the game. Defeat him the same way you did then. Skip or watch the cutscene, and then you'll be fighting Ansem again, but with some modified moves in his moveset, and no Tinkerbell to summon this time. So let's talk about these moves. First off, the same submit attack exists in this fight too, but it will be on a faster reaction time with Ansem simply yelling the submit part. He won't be doing the part that comes before it anymore. Deal with this the same way that I mentioned for the first fight. The shadow will sometimes charge these energy balls in its hands before firing 2 shockwaves forward across the ground. You can actually dodge roll through the center of this attack, which is the easiest way to deal with it. Ansem will periodically say something like, before turning himself into a meteor darting around the arena at high speeds. Time your guard to block him as he's about to collide with you, and follow up with an attack combo. As long as you're locked on to Ansem, pressing guard should rotate Sora to Ansem's location, so simply hitting guard at the right time should block the attack regardless of where you're looking. Ansem also gains a DM or Desperation move in this fight, where he'll move to the center of the arena, becoming immune, sending the shadow out to fly up from underneath the arena in an attempt to hit Sora. Simply dodge roll in a circle around the outside of the arena to dodge the whole attack, and when Ansem says something again in the center of the arena, dodge the beams of light that explode outwards from the center of the arena. I'd be careful going back in on him right away, as he seems to like following this up with his submit attack, and you may be stuck in a combo with no way to dodge it if you do time this wrong. That's all for this phase of the fight. After the fight, skip or watch the cutscene, and now you'll be fighting a massive spaceship thing. I don't even know what to call this, but anyways, Big Ansem is your target here. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not great at these final couple of fights, but here's how I deal with them at least, and the attacks that they have. Ansem has some slashing combos, and I typically just swing at him during this, hoping to deflect them with my Keyblade, since that happens quite often. But you can also simply fly out of the way of these as well, while staying close enough to Ansem to follow up with some combos afterwards. He'll summon laser beams that will activate tracking your position. You can either face tank these and trade the damage he does for damage you're doing to him, or the safer route, fly around in a circular type motion like so. Make sure to be careful with this pattern though, as going in the same direction can sometimes cause you to get hit by an earlier beam attack still lingering. Ansem will sometimes summon Heartless, which are an annoyance. You can defeat them for health orbs, but to be honest, I typically just work around them and try to ignore them as much as possible, healing through their attacks if needed. Eventually, those laser beam attacks will just start spawning periodically, and at that point, I would recommend simply damage trading with them, continue hitting the boss, healing when you can. This is literally what I do to defeat this specific boss. After the fight, skip or watch the cutscene, and then you'll be in a very dark room with the Heartless emblem on the floor. There will be a bunch of Shadow Heartless in here, defeat them, and then break the orb in the center, and skip or watch the cutscene that follows. Next up, you'll have to defeat all these tentacle type things up here shooting laser beams at you. You'll be periodically pushed away, and those laser beams from the previous Ansem fight will spawn if you're too far away, so these will typically spawn once you get pushed away. Rinse and repeat flying back up and comboing these until they're all defeated, then fly into the newly created portal. You'll head back to that previous room, but it will be full of dark sides, and you'll find Goofy in here. Defeat the dark sides and break the new orb in the center of the room, then skip or watch the cutscene that plays. Now you'll have to fight this head thing. I hate this fight, and I hate this thing. It basically has a variety of attacks to protect itself that all amount to the exact same thing, laser beams or a blast to protect you from being anywhere near this boss. Keep an eye on the head and specifically its eyes as a tell for when it's going to use any of these attacks, and feel free to either fly away or damage trade with these attacks. Note that this boss does tons of damage though. You're likely going to be getting hit a lot here, and I don't use it in this fight, but I'd recommend using Arrow for extra damage when close to the head, as well as for DR. Once defeated, head into the portal in the mouth, where you'll find a bunch of invisibles now. Defeat these using the same method you did in the final rest gauntlet in the previous video, and then break the final orb as well as regain Donald. Skip or watch the cutscene. Now you'll want to fly up here to this weird face heart thing and simply smack away at it, healing through any laser beams fired at you. Once defeated, skip or watch the cutscene, and now you'll be in the final Ansem fight. He still has his rotation laser beams. Activate Arrow and fly up to him, comboing him repeatedly. Now when you hear him shout and activate this ability, simply just keep comboing him. I find the easiest way to do this fight is just simply to damage race him, pumping as much damage into him as possible. Eventually this attack will start firing purple lasers from behind you. Just try to dodge them and stay close to the boss. He'll make a gesture to detonate a giant orb that was spawned behind you. This should miss as long as you're close enough to the boss. Rebuff yourself with Arrow if you need it. The shadow enemy behind Ansem should start using these dark orbs right about now. These basically suck your MP away slowly, as you'll see, which is why we've been damage racing him, as you'll eventually have no way to really heal yourself safely. Continue to combo him with Arrow on you, healing when you need. If you run out of mana, throw in an Elixir or Ether if you have one of these equipped. Rebuff Arrow, and just keep swinging at him. Yes, no joke, this is literally how I do this fight, is simply to just ignore all the boss's mechanics. It's just the way I found the fight to be the easiest for me, at least. Once he's defeated, you can skip whatever cutscenes remain, or enjoy them, as you have now officially beat the final boss and have completed Kingdom Hearts 1. Other than that though, that is all from me. I hope these guides helped anyone that gets stuck on where to go, or trying to get the achievements. Thank you for watching. Goodbye for now.